Now I want to talk about policy options beyond simple bans or labels, because there's a whole toolkit of economic and regulatory interventions that could reshape the food environment. And the evidence suggests that combining multiple approaches yields stronger public health benefits than any single measure alone. Sugar taxes have gotten the most attention lately, with cities and countries implementing levies on sugar-sweetened beverages to discourage consumption and raise revenue for health programs. The data from jurisdictions that have implemented these taxes shows real reductions in sales of taxed products, typically somewhere between 8 and 20%, depending on the tax level. But here's what's interesting. When economists model the effects of combining sugar taxes with other interventions like mandatory labeling requirements for artificial colors, restrictions on marketing to children, or procurement standards for schools and government facilities, the modeled health outcomes improve dramatically compared to just taxing sugar alone. The reason is that these policies work through different mechanisms and reach different decision points. A sugar tax affects price-sensitive consumers, but might not influence wealthier families as much. Warning labels provide information that empowers concerned parents, but doesn't help families who can't afford better alternatives. Marketing restrictions reduce the constant commercial pressure on children, but don't change what's available on shelves. Procurement standards force institutional change, but don't directly affect home consumption. Put them all together, and you create a comprehensive policy environment that makes healthier choices easier and more attractive, while making harmful products less appealing and accessible. Public health advocates I've spoken with emphasize that this multi-pronged approach is how tobacco consumption was reduced, not through any single policy, but through a combination of taxes, warning labels, advertising restrictions, and public smoking bans that together changed social norms and individual behavior. The same strategy could work for harmful food products. Revenue use is another important consideration with tax-based approaches. Jurisdictions that dedicate soda tax revenue to health programs, nutrition education, or subsidizing fresh food in underserved communities create a virtuous cycle where the tax doesn't just discourage harmful consumption, but actively promotes healthier alternatives. Some economists propose extending similar tax frameworks to highly processed foods containing both high sugar and artificial additives, creating a financial incentive for manufacturers to reformulate. The counterarguments from industry groups predictably focus on personal freedom and regressive effects on low-income consumers. But those arguments fall apart when you consider that low-income children are currently bearing the highest burden of exposure to these products and suffering the health consequences. Policies that reduce consumption of harmful foods while funding better alternatives are progressive interventions that benefit the most vulnerable populations. The challenge is political will. Food industry lobbying is extraordinarily powerful, and these companies fight viciously against any policy that might reduce their sales or force reformulation. But the precedent from soda taxes shows that change is possible when public health advocates, researchers, and concerned citizens push hard enough. The evidence base is there. The policy models are there. What's needed now is the political courage to implement comprehensive approaches rather than timid half measures.